if what do you guys use today? AutoCAD, maybe some Autodesk product. Visio is common. I hear that quite a few times. DraftSide, any other intelligent CAD package, or maybe just a good old drafting paper, and you're trying to see how we can get better. Whoa, lots of SolidWorks, so lots of AutoCAD users. Some Visio I see as well. Maybe one or two. We have a few holdouts there who haven't filled it out. I'll leave it open for just 10 seconds more, and then we can close that so we can move along. Almost there. Well, it's always tough to get everybody to get engaged. This is an exercise. I'll do a couple of more, and maybe you guys can chime along at that time. So most of everybody looks like AutoCAD. Maybe more than 50% said AutoCAD. So it's a good mix. That's what we see usually. Nothing out of the ordinary. AutoCAD was a de facto standard years ago. Although most companies are starting to move away from it because you can do so much more without having to let go of the ease of use. So let's take a look at that today. So we're going to take a look at SolidWorks Electrical and see how we can design and collaborate. So let me get into the SolidWorks 2D side of it here. This is a 2D application, schematic application. You have a nice project manager, so you can start a project. I have it open already. You can go and look at all projects, search for it. You also have the option of checking in and checking out if you use EPDM. It works it has its own workflow, different from SolidWorks when it comes to working with EPDM, but it does a really nice job of checking in, checking out, and helping you manage your output of electrical in your EPDM. For people who do not know EPDM, it is the product data management system by SolidWorks. So we have that project open, and the same project is open in the 3D side of it as well. You'll see that we have the same project manager here. So let me just open up a project manager for you, and so you can do your projects here and get the information for your projects there. And under tools for SolidWorks Electrical, you will see the project manager for that as well. So similar information. Again, you're looking at SolidWorks and SolidWorks Electrical from the 2D and 3D side of it. Back into 2D, of course, we have it open already. So look at there's some line diagrams you can do. So if you are interested in doing like an overview drawing, you can do that. And it is attached to your schematic. So I can go and jump into that schematic and see that that motor is connected over in my motor control center. So essentially, the single line and this are linked together. Of course, anything that you add in here is added over on the other side as well. So for example, I'm going to go and try to find a motor. So very quick and easy to find parts here. So if I go and find a motor, and it'll automatically name it, but if not, whatever naming convention you want, let's say you want to call that M5. It'll tell you if this mark is associated already or not, and you can add other information. So I'm going to add something called webinar motor. Maybe add it to a location. Maybe I want to say to my mechanical designer where that motor is going to go from the electrical side of it, or I can select it from that. I can go and search for motors that I have in my project and select a part number as well. So again, very quick to do that. In a few steps, essentially, you are adding a motor, which is called M5, has a part number, and has all that information associated to it. All this is listed in here as well. So you'll see that the list of all parts are in here, and they can be added or subtracted from this information. So again, taking a look at it, it's over there, and your location, let's just say it's other conveyors, and add that location information. So once you've done this, of course, you can go into your SolidWorks side of it, and see that SOLIDWORKS also updates that information automatically for you. So you have your parts here. So all the parts that you need are over here. You can hide the parts that you don't have already placed. So it will give you a smaller subset of items that have not been placed in your schematic. But it'll also have that webinar motor that we just added. It is M5 and its information is already there. That can be associated to different parts of, so if there's a motor already, so like, let's say this motor is there, the mechanical guys already added that. I can take this and say associate that motor to this file here, and when we do that, that information is automatically updated. So very quick and easy to do that, and the information in your products and project is updated automatically. So again, both 2D and 3D side of it. And how is that possible? You know, most questions that I get about it is, wow, okay, that looks great, but how is that possible? That's possible because a simplified library management system is there, where you are have the ability to add your part number, manufacturing information, you know, any technical details about what the part has, as well as, you know, what line diagram symbol looks like, what a schematic symbol looks like, what a 3D part looks like. So you can drag and drop it or associate that to it. So one source of the information, both for the electrical and the mechanical person. Now, again, if you don't have the 3D side of it, you don't have to worry about it. You just don't enter the 3D information, and the 2D side of it can give you enough benefits by itself. So very easy to customize information with, you know, wizards and import tools. Just make it very easy to use. So essentially what we're looking at is a convenient project manager to make it easy to manage projects, start projects, you know, add that information, be it EPDM or here. Standardize with, you know, templates and libraries. You can start projects with templates. So if you have different customers coming up with different types of project information, you can all put that in without having to make it from scratch every time, and bidirectional updates between mechanical and electrical. So of course, throughout the project, the information is updated. Um, let's move on to what we can do with schematics. So some parts of SOLIDWORKS, of course, electrical, you'll need some schematic information. So let's go design some schematics here. Let's see how we can automate some of the tasks, like drawing a wire. It's not about drawing a line, it's about drawing a wire. So let's draw multiple wires. I'm going to draw 4 wires here, and starting from that line there, going over here, and that's connected. So I just drew, you know, a multi-phase wire essentially, and what I'm gonna do is drag and drop items. So one way I can do drag and drop is to go into my symbol library and say, okay, what information do I want? I search for motor. That was one way of doing it. The other one is I can save something here. So for example, let's drag and drop that here and associate that with, maybe that's K4, you know, and that information is added automatically on the line. It disconnects the line, connects it, and takes care of that. Or maybe we want to do a copy paste, a control C, control V, and it'll give it a name automatically. Q3 was copied and it was updated to Q4. Just a quality while you're doing it. And again, how does that help manufacturing? Because you're not having your manufacturing floor coming back to your engineer saying, hey, this is, you know, you copy pasted Q3 and that didn't change it. So I have 2 Q3s. Which one should I connect to my motor, you know, on the first line, and which one goes to the third line? Confusing, yes. Time consuming, yes. Can it lead to errors or even shut down some work? Of course. It's happened to me before, for sure. Copy pasting and forgetting to change a name. Important, very simple to fix, but obviously we forget to do that quite a few times. Of course, if you wanted to change some information like that, you can quickly go and change it. So copy, paste, and automatic naming doesn't mean that you cannot go and change it. It has the flexibility to go and change it, but it gives you the ability to go and work with it correctly the first time around. Adding some terminals. So for example, the terminals can be added by just dragging and dropping a line and selecting which direction you want the wires connected to. You can select the terminal strip that you want. And again, SOLIDWORKS will automatically do that for you, where it is numbering the terminals automatically and providing you, you know, with information related to that. Let's take a look at terminals and how you manage that quickly as well. So edit my terminal strip, and it is a very beautiful way of managing terminals. So I've been doing this forever, and terminals, you use like hundreds of terminals sometimes, a big project, maybe 500, maybe 20 in a small project, but it is a consistent way of looking at how you manage terminals. You can add part numbers pretty quickly. So I can go and take a look at manufacturing parts and say, okay, that's my part that I want to add. Select that, quickly updates that as well. And again, this is an SQL database, so the search is pretty quick. You are adding that information pretty quickly. It tells you what each end is connected to, and if there are wires, I can go and say, hey, associate that to a cable. My motor is going to be pretty far away from my device, so I'm probably going to use a cable, and I'm going to take the wires of the cable, the black, brown, another black and blue, and I'm going to associate that to the wires I had. So all of a sudden, that information is there. And what do I do with this? Now, whenever I used to go on the field, it is kind of difficult to figure out which terminal is connected where. We have to either look at a 15-page schematic or a 50-page schematic to figure out what's connected where. This is a really cool thing. Not many customers do that or used to do that, but as soon as they've seen this, they've started using it, is draw your terminal strip. I'm going to put that there, and I'm going to click OK. Now, what the beauty of this is, you're not doing anything. You're just managing your terminals. You're adding the information that you want, and SOLIDWORKS Electrical is giving you a drawing for it. So let's go into that. And this is my terminal strip drawing. It lays out what's connected on each side. And especially what I need to know is which terminal is connected to which motor and what cable is connecting. And that information is available. So the service guys out there, it's not just about manufacturing. It's about supporting manufacturing after you've done it at the customer space. And that's where you will use this, as well as, of course, when you're putting it together. Um, Again, very useful for most customers, and it's not time consuming, so you can make that documentation to make your design easier. Of course, the other easiest thing to do is to do some numbering. Now, wire numbering and device tagging is something that is tedious, and you have to do it manually today. And the mundane tasks are mundane tasks. So I can say number new wires, and it'll give me the option of saying, do you want to renumber new wires without modifying the existing ones? Well, yes, exactly. That's what I want to do. I don't want to change the ones that are already there, but I want to number new ones, and the ones that we added will renumber. And based on whatever standard you want. Right now, the standard is just L1, L2, and L3. You can have it page number, row number, based on what it's connected to, so on and so forth. Very easy to work with, and just one click away for you to finish your numbering throughout the project or on a page-by-page basis. Again, really up to you how you want to do it. I would suggest doing it by the project, so you have all the numbering done at once. At any point in time, if you want to save a snapshot of a project, you can click take a snapshot, and two users are connected, so you can only do it when one user is connected. We'll do it on the later side of it, but essentially you can go and manage your snapshots. You can either take them or so basically it's a package of that project, or like a snapshot of that project at any time, any point in time, so you can go back to it, do a revision, do a version. You can do it outside EPDM as well. If you use EPDM, you can use it inside EPDM as well. Makes it really easy to use. And one more thing on the 2D side before we get into the 3D side of it. Again, this is a fairly important and powerful section. It's schematic side of it. Maybe I want to do some references between two sections. So I'm going to do is take this page, very nice visual way of easy way of referencing two pages. I'm going to select that line and that line, and that's my referencing. So this now gives power, and I can double click and go to my PLC to say this gives power to my PLCs. Hey, by the way, the PLC reminds me, you have a PLC manager. Just like Terminal Manager, you have a PLC manager. So let's take a look at that. And that's my PLC that I've added. It is a Schneider PLC, and it has some 6 inputs and 4 outputs. And of course, you can go and make a PLC, based on whatever standard you want. You have some automated ways of making dynamic PLCs as well. But if you have PLC inputs and outputs that you use all the time, and it's repetitive, you can control that as well. You can take a repetitive PLC, make a macro out of it, and then just say generate a drawing and select where you want to generate that drawing, and see SOLIDWORKS Electrical making that for you. It is adding that page 14, and we'll see what it does on page 14. So let's close this and go open up page 14. Well, it's made a PLC drawing for you. It's added the inputs and outputs that you want, and and split it by page. And you can set this all up, so do it by one button. Again, you don't have to do it this way. Of course, you can just go to a PLC and say add a new manufacturing part, search for it, create that, and go from there. You can make a new PLC which is completely dynamic. You can add a new sheet. For example, let's make a schematic page, and you can insert this PLC. You can decide which type of dynamic way you want it. So this is a PLC. Maybe you can select the number of outputs you want. Maybe you just want to show a few of them. Maybe you want to show it the other way around, and insert that. So again, you can make it very dynamically, and then you can add your inputs and outputs. But you can also, again, this is pretty powerful in itself, but if you wanted to do more, you can do it with one button click as well. Again, very powerful features, and I can show you the details if you want at a later stage, or maybe on a one-on-one question as well. So what does that get us? Automatic schematic tasks. Macros make it easy to drag and drop something or use it for automatically drawing something. Schematics are easier because you can search for symbols, you can have components, and you can have information from your libraries directly associated to your symbols. And multiple symbols can be there. So a coil and a contact can be connected to each other. Single click completion of repetitive tasks like renaming something or adding a new wire number or anything like that. Again, very quick, very easy to do. And of course, we haven't even seen everything. We only have 30 minutes today, so we can only see a little bit. But from what we've seen, I'm sure you guys love that as well. So before we get into our next section, let's take a look at another poll. What would you like to change on your design, right? We've seen what we can do in SOLIDWORKS Electrical, but what would you like to change on your side of it? So a steady mix, quite a few people want to see the 3D mechanical integration, change updates in the entire project. That's quite a bit. So, it's a steady mix of everything, as in a few people have BOM and 3D mechanical. By far the most people, 71% of attendees, it's actually getting to 75 now. So everyone wants to see 3D mechanical integration, and which is great because we're going to get right into that right now. So thank you for voting for it. I'm going to close the poll now and get right into what we can see with 3D mechanical integration. So, let's get into the 3D side of it. We did quite a bit of work on the 2D side, and we added, bunch of information in there, and all that has been stored and kept in your 3D side of it. So let's take a look. How do you make a panel, for example? I have my parts. I've added multiple parts, so I can insert them all at the same time. I'm going to select 6 of them and say insert, and this is the same tree that you see in SOLIDWORKS Electrical 2D. I can decide if I want to change the the layout of it, or figure out what it is. And SOLIDWORKS essentially gives me a model. This is a generic model that SOLIDWORKS comes with, and it gives me the option of putting it together from left to right. It basically goes and marries it to the rail. And let's say I want to keep a 1/4 inch of space between them, and basically add 6 of them in line with 1/4 inch spacing, let's say for heat dissipation. SOLIDWORKS Electrical will 3D will automatically do that for you. It will place that and do the mating. So even if an electrical designer is doing that, they don't need to know SOLIDWORKS mechanical that very well, and it'll maintain that distance. If I want to move this, I can lock it in place, of course, but if I want to move it, it'll maintain that distance between the two so that you always have that heat dissipation allowance kept in. You don't always need a SOLIDWORKS model. You can make your own models and associate with that as well. Again, SOLIDWORKS will give you the models if it has one. Terminal strips, I love the terminal strips. These are like, I have 20 of them. I don't want to insert them one by one, of course. That will just take forever. I don't need any spacing between them, so I'm just going to say, hey, just put that in. Don't worry about spacing. And that becomes easier because it's not trying to do the math on it. It's just trying to mate one face to the other. And it was able to do that pretty quickly. Same thing with anything that might be on a door. For example, there's a light that I want to put on a door, and again, I'm going to hit tab. Now the beauty of this is that if it's a smart part, you can use those smart parts. So for example, I'm going to click on that star, and what this allows me to do is figure out to drill a hole on which, whenever I add a light, I need a hole drilled between on the door. And if I just quickly open that door, I'll see that, okay, now that hole is there. Makes my manufacturing drawing of that cover plate fairly simple and automatic, essentially. We already added the motor on the other side. Let's see what we can do on the motor for some cabling. We connected the motor and we want to do some cabling. So I'm going to say route cables on selected components. I'm going to select that component and I'm going to do a 3D route. And let SOLIDWORKS essentially go and figure out how that cable is connected. It'll go through any wiring assistance that we've provided. And I can do a very smooth cable if I wanted to. I can do a based on line. Basically, you can have multiple options. I've done it based on line today. So essentially, it'll break that up and take you to the other side where I can go into the enclosure, and it'll take that cable into the enclosure. And essentially that flows through here. Now, how did it manage to find that? It automatically finds that, of course, and you can also provide some sketches to say guidelines, to say follow this path or follow as closely to this path as possible wherever possible. Additionally, of course, you can go and do a wire routing for your panel as well, and I'll go and do that while and I'll do a sketch route here just to make it a little simple. And do the routing. And while it's doing the wire routing, let's go and check out other stuff. For example, so essentially what that leads to is reducing build errors. You can do wires, cables, harnesses. I didn't go too much into harnesses today, but it's the same concept. You can create harnesses and you can create the drawing for the harnesses, the flattened route, and that's part of SOLIDWORKS functionality already. And utilize your existing 3D models and smart parts to get some accurate documentation to assist with manufacturing. So you can get the right fill for your ducts. You can go and figure out where the cable goes from and not have to, saw your, metal pieces and make holes in them so that you can put some wires in there or fit some wires in there, or have to rework something because you forgot that there's a heater in between where your cable is flowing from, so on and so forth. And of course, we'll get right into the manufacturing documentation. And the manufacturing documentation is essentially your reports, which are automatically done. As soon as I'm looking at the reports, they're automatically done. We added a motor M5 that's already here. We can create, cables. We routed the cable W10 between the motor and the other conveyor section, M5 and the cable gland, and it'll give me the length. So it already knows what the length is. It knows every cable that's in here, list of wires, list of bill of materials can be divided into multiple ways. And essentially you can generate your bill of materials by just saying, okay, I want that bill of materials printed. I can take it into Excel, I can take it into XML or just a CSV format, or of course I can print it like just this. I've printed it based on the manufacturer. I've even said, okay, what the part name may be. If there is a part name, the 3D part name, you can put that in. So I know exactly what we're doing here. Your slot ducting, wiring, any circuit breaker, disconnect, everything is there together and you can report and print on it. Additionally, of course, you can produce documentation to share it, like export to PDF or DWG. Export to PDF is my favorite, of course, because you can take that information, print the PDF, and have one-click access to all the parts. Let's take a look at my wiring is still happening, and I'm doing some nice complicated wiring for that. With the screen share, my PDF is ready here, and I can see all the documentation. So let's say a component is there that I'm looking at. Where is my fuse? I can take a look at my fuse in my single line page, or I can click on that fuse and see where it's used here. Or maybe I want to look at Q1 in my panel layout, or Q2 on my single line again. Very quick, very easy to look at your drawing. Maybe I want to go look at the motor. All the information that you have as documents, as projects, everything is packaged together for you in this. Your bill of materials is here, your schematics, of course, whatever you updated today, that's here as well. All the information and even the pages that are linking together, you can click on that and take you where it is. Very quick and easy to do, and of course all this documentation brings everything together for you to work with it in conjunction with your 3D and 2D. So that's what you get from manufacturing documentation reports. So essentially what you're doing is design, and everything else is helping you to figure out documentation for manufacturing. You have your terminal layout, you have your harness design, you have your documentation for how the wire and the cable is flowing, maybe how the cabinet is laid out. You have your bill of materials, so you can have the right information in the right place. So seamless integration and collaboration, of course, with mechanical bi-directional updates. Schematics is easy. You have lots of button clicks to do automatic drawings and reports, and macros to save those, save that information. The 3D panel basically gives you, spacing and other information like that, reduced build errors, and provide you with accurate documentation. And it also lets, if you add all the parts that are in 2D and 3D, you have one bill of materials for your mechanical and your electrical. And of course, that's where the manufacturing documentation comes in. And here we have, before we, of course, before we end this webinar, I wanted to show you what that wiring looks like. Very neat, very tidy. And if you can do this consistently, you can have consistent panels. One of the most complaints I hear about from customers as well as manufacturers is that it's all tribal knowledge. People are doing their own way in making each panel. So if the person who's been working there for 40 years leaves tomorrow or retiring tomorrow, who's going to do that? Customers have to troubleshoot different panels that look different or wired differently every time. You can make it consistent. If you have the documentation, you can have anybody who doesn't have too much experience put these things together. That's the key. That's where you save a lot of dollars and a lot of time. And of course, that brings me to the end of it. So with SOLIDWORKS Electrical, you can reduce repetitive tasks, centralized and standardized libraries for all mechanical and electrical. Collaborate with your mechanical design to make it simpler, easier, reduce errors in your documentation, and create that easy to manufacture documentation. Like you used to with SOLIDWORKS, you can make all the drawings, all the information that you need to from SOLIDWORKS itself to make it easy. For anybody, we've gone a couple of minutes over here, so anybody who wants any next steps, we can review processes that identify your bottlenecks today. We can see if this software is a good fit for you. If you need a more in-depth presentation, of course, we can do that as well. We can do an ROI discussion. I've never gone to an ROI discussion with SOLIDWORKS Electrical and come back with less than 3 or 4 months of, or more than 3 or 4 months of ROI. It is amazing how that discussion goes. And training and implementation, of course, if you already are sold on it and you want us to talk to you about it, then let us know. Before I end up, of course, another poll for you guys. Was this useful? my voice, of course, is as beautiful as ever, but I'm talking about the content. Um, did you guys like the content? Did you find it interesting? And would this help you in your design today? Would you want to see more? Or maybe we have the entirely wrong information for you guys. Let us know, and we will follow up if you want us to. We'll leave you alone if you don't want us to. So okay. Um, Again, today it's a little late. I have a couple of questions here, so I will be answering them. People who want to stick around, I have some time. So if you, someone needs 3D harness and routing for existing cable model. I'm not sure what the exact question is, but yes, we can do 3D harness and routing. We didn't cover that in this demonstration today. We will be doing more demonstrations, but I can reach out to you and personally and show you that, or send you a video if that's what you require to see it, and help you figure that out. So 3D documentation is available, and we will share that with you. So I'll be closing the poll, and so most people, more than 50% of you guys found this to be good content and need more information. And oh, more questions coming in. Can I definitely, I am recording it, and we will